The phone slipped from my hand, clattering against the hardwood floor with a sound like a gunshot in the silent apartment. Her text glowed on the cracked screen. "Meet me at the cabin by 8. Just you and me, babe. Let's make this weekend unforgettable." My chest tightened, not with the warmth of her words, but with the jagged edge of suspicion that had been slicing through me for weeks. The way her laughter had shifted lately, sharper, almost performative. The late-night work calls she took in the bathroom, her voice muffled but urgent. I'd ignored it all, chalking it up to stress, to my own paranoia. But now, staring at that message, I felt the truth clawing its way to the surface. This getaway wasn't about us. It was about her, and someone else. I stood frozen in our living room. The air thick with the scent of her lavender candles, their flickering light casting shadows that danced like secrets across the walls. My pulse hammered in my ears, drowning out the hum of the city beyond the window. I wanted to believe her. God, I wanted to believe this was just a weekend to fix things, to stitch back the fraying seams of our relationship. But the memory of her phone buzzing on the counter last week, the name Chris flashing before she snatched it away, gnawed at me. She'd laughed it off. Just a coworker, Matt, chill. But her eyes had darted away, her fingers trembling as she poured more wine. I'd let it go. I always let it go. Now I couldn't. I grabbed my keys, my coat, and her phone, still unlocked, a careless mistake she'd never made before. The cabin was 2 hours away. A remote spot in the Adirondacks she'd found online. All rustic charm and promises of solitude. Perfect for a romantic escape. Or a betrayal. As I drove through the inky night, the road winding through skeletal trees, my mind churned. Every mile felt like a descent into something I wasn't ready to face. What would I find? Her alone, waiting with a smile and an apology? Or her, tangled in someone else's arms, laughing at how easily she'd played me? The cabin came into view, its windows glowing like predator eyes against the dark forest. Her car was parked out front alone. No sign of anyone else. Relief flickered, but it was fleeting, snuffed out by the weight of doubt. I parked 100 yards back, hidden by pines, and crept toward the cabin, my breath clouding in the frigid air. The gravel crunched under my boots, each step a heartbeat. Through the window, I saw her, Lila, moving in the kitchen, her auburn hair catching the light as she poured wine into 2 glasses. 2. My stomach lurched. I crouched low, the cold seeping through my jeans, and watched. She was humming, her movements loose, almost giddy. The Lila I knew was meticulous, always coiled tight with anxiety. This version of her felt foreign, like a stranger wearing her skin. Then I heard it, a low male laugh from inside. My blood turned to ice. I edged closer, peering through the gap in the curtains. There he was. Chris. Broad-shouldered, leaning against the counter, his hand brushing hers as she handed him a glass. The intimacy of it, the casual, knowing touch, hit me like a fist. I wanted to storm in, to scream, to shatter their cozy little scene. But something held me back. Maybe it was the part of me that still loved her, that clung to the memory of her head on my chest during late-night talks about our future. Or maybe it was the need to understand why she'd chosen him, why she'd lied. I stayed rooted, watching as they clinked glasses, their laughter slicing through the quiet night. My phone buzzed in my pocket, another text from her. "Where are you?" Getting worried. The audacity of it burned. I texted back, "Flat tire. Be there soon." Let her squirm. Let her wonder. I needed time to think, to plan. The forest around me felt alive, its whispers urging me to act. I slipped back to my car, my mind racing. Confrontation was too easy. She'd cry, beg, promise it was a mistake. I'd heard it before, not from her, but from my father, when he'd cheated on Mom and tore our family apart. I wasn't going to let Lila's betrayal end with her tears and my forgiveness. Not this time. I drove to a gas station 10 miles away, the fluorescent lights harsh against the night. My hands shook as I bought a cheap burner phone and a can of spray paint from the convenience store. An idea was forming, dark and reckless, but it felt right. I called the cabin's landline from the burner, disguising my voice with a low growl. "Lila," I said when she answered, her voice bright and unsuspecting. "You're being watched. Leave now or you'll regret it." I hung up before she could respond, my heart pounding with a mix of fear and exhilaration. Back at the cabin, I parked farther away and circled through the woods, the spray paint can cold in my hand. I scrawled a single word on the side of Chris's car, liar. The red paint dripped like blood in the moonlight. Then I waited, hidden in the shadows, as panic unfolded inside. Lila's voice rose, sharp and frantic, as she argued with Chris. Who was that? What's going on? She demanded. He tried to calm her, but his tone was defensive, laced with guilt. They stepped outside, flashlights cutting through the dark, and saw the graffiti. Lila gasped, her hand flying to her mouth. Chris swore, his eyes scanning the trees. I held my breath, invisible in the dark. They didn't leave. Instead, they retreated inside, locking the door, their voices now hushed but tense. I waited an hour, then called again. You didn't listen, I whispered. Last chance. This time, I heard her sob through the receiver before I hung up. My chest ached, part guilt, part satisfaction. I loved her, but I hated her too. The betrayal wasn't just the act. It was the months of lies, the way she'd looked me in the eye and promised forever. Dawn was breaking when I made my final move. I slipped into the cabin's backyard, where the generator hummed softly. A quick yank of wires plunged the place into darkness. Lila's scream echoed from inside, followed by Chris's shouted curses. I didn't stay to watch the fallout. I drove away, the burner phone tossed into a river miles down the road. By the time I got home, my real phone was flooded with her texts. Where are you? Someone's here. I'm scared. I didn't reply. Hours later, she came home, her eyes red, her suitcase half unpacked. Matt, thank God, she said, rushing to hug me. It was awful. Someone was watching us. Her voice broke, and for a moment, I almost believed her fear was real. But then I saw it. The flicker of guilt in her eyes, the same one I'd ignored for too long. Who was with you, Lila? I asked, my voice calm but razor sharp. She froze, her breath catching. Just a friend, she stammered. You were late and I... Stop. I stepped back, my heart a hollow drum. I know. Her face crumpled, and she sank to the floor, sobbing. I didn't comfort her. I didn't yell. I just walked away, leaving her with the weight of her lies. And the knowledge that her perfect getaway had become her worst nightmare. The real twist? I'd never tell her it was me. Let her live with the fear, the way I'd live with her betrayal.